What a difference one race weekend makes. McLaren arrived in Bahrain looking like they'd just survived a horror movie after their Japan disaster, haunted by strategy sheets and the ghost of missed opportunities. But hey, new track, new hope, right? And boy did they deliver, at least until reality hit them again. From the very first practice session, McLaren looked reborn. Lando and Oscar traded fastest laps like it was a private competition, topping all 3 free practice sessions with the kind of dominance we hadn't seen since pre-season testing. The car was glued to the track, the upgrades were working, and for a brief, beautiful moment, it seemed like Japan was just a bad dream. Meanwhile, Mercedes woke up and remembered they're supposed to be contenders. Just like we called it last video, their car came alive under the Bahrain lights. George Russell was throwing that W16 into corners like it owed him money. And Kimi Antonelli, the kid wasn't just keeping up, he was schooling veterans. What started as maybe they'll score points quickly turned into, wait, are they actually fighting for pole? And then there's Ferrari. Charles Leclerc was dragging that SF25 to places it didn't belong, while his new teammate Lewis Hamilton looked like he was still figuring out which buttons did what. The 7-time champ had moments of brilliance mixed with frustration. That car just doesn't know if it wants to be competitive or not. But the real shocker, Red Bull's fall from grace. 2 weeks ago, Max was pulling miracles out of thin air in Japan. Now, that same car looked like it was running on fumes. Bottom 10 in practice, struggling with balance. What happened to the team that dominated Suzuka? In this video, we're breaking down every chaotic moment from Bahrain, the practice sessions where McLaren looked unstoppable, the qualifying madness that no one saw coming, and of course, the race itself, where strategy calls made us question if some teams even want to win. And enough meme-worthy moments to last until Saudi Arabia next week. Alright, let's talk about the most underrated part of any race weekend. Free practice. Bahrain gave us a full meme fest before we even got to qualifying. From drivers going full rally mode to steering wheels popping off. FP sessions this weekend were straight out of a comedy special. Starting with FP1, it's honestly the least useful session of the weekend. Why? Because it's held in broad daylight when track temperatures are sky high, totally unrepresentative of the actual race or qualifying conditions, which both happen at night. So teams usually don't take it too seriously. Instead, they test tire degradation, alternate strategies, and most importantly, give reserve drivers a bit of F1 seat time. And this year we got an entire grid shuffle. 6 reserve drivers took the wheel. We had Ryo Hirakawa in the Haas, Felipe Dragovic in the Aston Martin, Frederic Vesti in the Mercedes, Dino Beganovic in the Ferrari, Ayumu Uyuasa in the Red Bull, and Luke Browning in the Williams. But it's always fun to see future talent get their shot in the big league. Now, FP2, that's the real deal. It's the only session held under the lights in conditions close to what we'll see during the race. So this is when every team puts in their qualifying stimulations and final setup adjustments. But even then, the chaos didn't stop. Fernando Alonso had a moment that would make even a video game glitch blush. His steering wheel literally came off mid-session. You read that right. The man was out there doing qualifying runs and his wheel detached like he was playing with a Lego kit. The radio message? Iconic. The reaction? Even better. And then there was FP3, which should have been a calm wrap-up before qualifying, but no, Bahrain said let's make it spicy. Nico Hülkenberg decided to park it on track, bringing out a red flag. Charles Leclerc's mirror just gave up on life and flew off mid-lap. 1 second it's there, the next it's tumbling down the main straight like it's trying to qualify on its own. And George Russell, man, went off more times than my Wi-Fi in a thunderstorm, sliding into gravel, overshooting corners. At one point it looked like he was mapping out an alternate Bahrain layout by himself. So yeah, FP1 was rookie hour, FP2 had detachable car parts, and FP3 turned into bloopers of the year. This was just practice, and it already delivered more drama than some entire race weekends. Starting off in Q1, things were already cursed. Liam Lawson, poor guy, didn't even get the chance to show what he's got. His DRS system decided it was on vacation and just refused to work. That's like showing up to a fencing match without a sword. Game over before it began. For someone fighting for his seat and reputation, that was a brutal way to go out. Moving into Q2, and it was like the F1 gods said, let's add some chaos. Esteban Ocon brought out the red flags with a crash that looked nastier than Alpine's 2023 engine. Absolute heartbreak for the team. And just when you thought things couldn't get weirder, Pierre Gasly decided to go full anime protagonist and slapped in a lap that put him P3. Yes, you read that right, P3 in an Alpine. Meanwhile, his teammate Jack Doohan, who'd been the faster Alpine throughout the entire qualifying, missed out by 6 10th, 6th, 10th. Now Q3 was where it got wild. Yuki Tsunoda for the first time ever made it into Q3 in a Red Bull. And even more shockingly, this was the first time both Red Bulls made it to Q3 this season, and they barely squeaked through Q2, so it wasn't even a dominant showing. Just when you thought we made it through the chaos, George Russell and Kimi Antonelli both received one-place grid penalties for leaving the pits before Q2 had officially resumed following Ocon's crash. This reshuffled the grid and moved Charles Leclerc up to P2, which, by the way, is Ferrari's best qualifying result of 2025 so far, and Pierre Gasly jumped up to P4 in an Alpine. Again, that's not a typo. But the cherry on top, Nico Hülkenberg had his Q1 lap time deleted 45 minutes after qualifying ended. 45 minutes! And that deletion meant Alex Albon, who would have otherwise made it into Q2 and maybe even Q3, got knocked out unfairly. Imagine thinking you're going home only to find out hours later you actually made it. Too late now. FIA dropped the ball harder than Ferrari's strategy team on a Sunday. Alright, let's dive into the Bahrain GP race. And yeah, this one had everything: drama, chaos, FIA being FIA, and some meme-worthy moments that are already living rent-free in our heads. This wasn't just a race, it was a full-blown soap opera with tyre smoke. Let's talk about the start. Absolute madness. Off the line, Charles Leclerc, who started P2, had one job: just hold it. But nope, he got jumped by both George Russell and Lando Norris. George was like, "I'll take that, thanks." And Lando flew up from P6 to P3 on the softs like he was on a mission from the tyre yards. Meanwhile, Oscar Piastri had a perfect launch. Textbook stuff, cool, calm and clinical. Now let's talk about the first corner. Charles went from P2 to P4 in like 5 seconds. George snatched P2, Lando took P3, and suddenly Ferrari's best quali in 2025 turned into Ferrari being Ferrari again. Pain. And of course, Lando can never have a clean weekend. The guy gets a 5-second penalty for being slightly out of position in his box. That's peak Max. Even when the car's fighting him, he's still snatching points. Bahrain really delivered this year, and it's not just because it's an overtaking friendly track. We got real competition. Mercedes and Alpine came out swinging, going toe-to-toe with McLaren in ways nobody really expected. George and Kimi showing solid pace, and Pierre Gasly qualifying P3 in an Alpine. That's some alternate universe stuff right there. Red Bull though, yeah, they've got homework to do. Brakes not braking, pit stops not stopping, and strategy not strategizing. Max did what he could, but that car was not helping. They'll need to regroup, reset, and figure out where the weak spots are fast, because right now the field is catching up. And Ferrari, man, I don't even know what to tell you. Some things never change. They show up, get our hopes up, and then Charles ends up battling Lando while Oscar's off sipping espresso in P1.classic. Anyway, that's it from Bahrain. A chaotic, entertaining, meme-worthy start to the season, and we're only getting started. Next week, we're off to the Jeddah Street Circuit, where walls are closer, mistakes are punished harder, and chaos is basically guaranteed.